Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Pete, Films and Stuff. It's our stream or skip episode segment.
That's absolutely right. And just a quick recap for those of you who don't remember, stream or skip. Ethan makes a list for me. I make a list for Ethan. We roll randomly, watch the shows that we've been assigned, and determine whether those shows are worthy of being watched or not.
And we've had a few real gems that we found that are absolute must-subscribes. We've also had a few duds. And this week, we've got 3 shows to review, and we're on really both ends of the segment, or both ends of the spectrum, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me go first, if you do not mind.
Not at all.
My assignment, as chosen by Pete, was the British comedy found on Netflix named Hard Cell. Cell is C-E-L-L, so it's like a prison cell. And that makes sense because this is a British comedy about a warden in an all-women's prison set in the UK. It stars Catherine Tate. I think you may remember her from The Office. She was on in
That's
some
right.
of the later years. She is extraordinarily talented, but this seems to be, since she's the creator, this seems to be her attempt to kind of capture the magic of Michael in The Office and to basically position herself in the same role where she is the warden of an all-women's prison who is hapless and self-absorbed. So really, it's very much like an office setting, but just in a prison instead of like a paper supply store. And to be honest, I really give her a lot of credit. She plays more than one character with dramatic hair and makeup stylization effects. But to be honest, this is really a miserable show. I can see where there's a lot of like bits that try to be funny, but most of them are just set pieces, awkward situations. It absolutely didn't do it. After the first episode, I was really already giving it a skip. I watched 2 more episodes just to be entirely fair. There were times when maybe I kind of cracked a smile, but to be honest, it was a slog, and unfortunately, I cannot give this anything other than a skip. That being said, I'm not an unfair man. I can kind of see that there would be maybe a very small, passionate like fan base for this. I think it would be, people in the UK watching Netflix. And I think it would be folks that are really just looking for something that doesn't have any complicated plot, that every episode is standalone, that they don't have to watch from week to week. They won't be updated about what happened if they miss a week. They can just, whenever they've got 30 minutes, they can just watch an episode and, kind of be transported from, the stress and the pressure of everyday life. It's also super cheap to make. I mean, prisons generally are not expensive, and this isn't like a dungeon-like prison. It's kind of a more modern, quasi-happy prison, which I don't think is either realistic, especially when they talk about, the people in the prison are being murderers and some quite violent people. In any case, I wouldn't be surprised if this gets renewed just because Catherine Tate is very, very well accomplished, easy and cheap to make, and I'm sure there's going to be a few people that are looking for some type of like British-based comedy in Netflix, but I'm sorry, this is a skip, and I don't think there's really much more for me to say about it.
Okay, and I missed that. The style you said was akin to The Office, or is this like a documentary style thing?
No, it's
with
a 30-minute. It's a 30-minute, maybe it's a little bit more. Comedy. It's very much like The Office. It's got one, right? The Office has Michael, who's the boss of a group of people, right?
Yeah.
And this is about Catherine Tate, who's the warden of an all-women's prison. So she's got interactions with her admin staff, She's got interactions with the prison guards. She's got interactions with, the inmates themselves, So like one of the themes is that, she'd like to do prison reform, and her initiative is that she wants to do like a musical, in the prison, because she thinks that, tapping into their creative side will somehow reform them, and so on and so forth. And of course, it's just a vehicle for her to kind of show off her ability to sing and act and dance and, manage a production. It's not really like a serious effort of prison reform. So it's intended to be funny, but it's very much like what you would see from kind of like Michael in The Office, where, he says he's doing something, but it's really for his own kind of like self-interest and selfish reasons, right?
Okay.
It falls flat, despite the fact that I think Catherine Tate was super, super funny in The Office itself, and she's quite talented in this, but there's just not a lot of humor, to be honest.
Yeah. So generally speaking, when you give a show or a movie a skip, especially on Streamer Skip, I tend to avoid them, but this one might sneak onto my potential list at the very bottom based on what you've just said. I'm in the market for a comedy that might be interesting. I don't imagine I will enjoy it because generally speaking, you and I are quite often aligned. But in the off chance that it might become a mooch for me, I'll have a look, but it's not a priority.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most generous that I can say about it.
Okay.
But if you do watch an episode, come back to me and let's compare notes and see if I've got a different assessment of you. I mean,
okay.
I wouldn't say that the humor is, everyone is British, right? In the sense that they have British accents and it takes place in the UK. But it's not as though the humor is based on like jokes or localized events that if you're not British or living in the UK, you wouldn't know what they're referring to.
Right. Okay.
That is hard sell, CELL.
And that's a skip.
And that is a skip. But there are better days ahead because you reviewed
9 Perfect Strangers. As soon as I saw it, so normally we watch 2 episodes, maybe 3 if it's necessary. And then we kind of, the reviewing processes, we go through it, we think about it. And then generally speaking, I will message Ethan and Ethan will message me and we'll say, I saw Hard Sell. It was really terrible. It's a skip. Or, I saw The Bear. I thought it was really good. You should watch it too, or you should definitely watch it, or whatever it is, right? I remember I watched the first 2 episodes of 9 Perfect Strangers and I sent Ethan a message halfway through the 3rd one. And I said, you know what? I think there's something here. I'm not 100% sure at the moment, but I think there's something here. And then 4 hours later, I was deep into episode 6.
I have to say, for me, 9 Perfect Strangers is a great example of how Streamer Skip is supposed to work. Just
100%.
based on the cast, based on the title, based on the cover art, I never would have tried this show. Never,
no way,
ever.
No how. By and far of all the shows that we've either watched or potentially will watch on Streamer Skip, this is the highest pedigreed cast of actors. All-star cast. You've got Ethan's most favorite, Melissa McCarthy. You've got Nicole Kidman, Bobby Cannavale, Michael Shannon, Luke Evans, Regina Hall, I don't know how to pronounce her. I don't know how she pronounces it. And, of course, because Melissa McCarthy is there, Ben Falcone is also there for a few episodes. And look, let me just make a quick comment, and, this is neither here nor there, and this is not an insult to either of them. I understand that they're married. I understand that they love each other a lot. But come on, man, get a job away from your wife. Not every movie she's in you have to be in, and vice versa. Everything that I can think of in my recent memory where she's in there, he somehow worms his way in, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So, just a little bit of separation. And again, I don't mean this in a bad way, and I'm certainly not trying to single anyone out. But it gets a little tiresome when the shtick is the same in all of them.
Yeah. But that being said, I have to say, this is very unique because both you and I watched the entire season in a single week.
And it's only unheard of for Streamer Skip, by the way.
Only 8 episodes. You loved it. You told me about it. As I said, I was absolutely had no desire. I don't even think I looked at this show ever. It's on Hulu. And after you told me it's good, I started watching it. And immediately I was hooked. And I can't even explain why. Because even the premise, right? What's the premise? The premise is that you want to say it or?
It doesn't matter. It's a super, super simple premise. Yep. 9 people who are strangers meet at a wellness center in what I presume is Northern California somewhere called Tranquillium. And they meet because they all have different mental health problems, right? So one of them is a family-oriented guy, or the family who's there is getting over the fact that their son committed suicide. You've got a lottery winner who kind of has cognitive dissonance with how he's accumulated this wealth through this lottery. He's married to a social media influencer who's not happy with her life as a social media influencer. And she's, whatever. You've got an overworked book author who's getting over trauma of being, bamboozled by someone.
Scammed by an online dating. Yep.
Exactly. So everyone who's there is broken, is absolutely a jerk of some kind or problematic of some kind.
I guess what I can say really struck me about this is that they're dealing with such serious issues. I wouldn't say it's really mental health, because I don't want to say this is dealing with bipolar disorder or something. It's more like trauma, right? It's people who are dealing with really stressful or emotional or traumatic events in their life, and they're just not able to move on and address these things that happened, and they're each kind of managing it their own way, right? Some people are overly optimistic, some people are depressed, some people eat, some people drink. Yeah. And everyone's just kind of some people have anger issues. Everyone's just kind of dealing with this issue in their own way. And Nicole Kidman plays Masha, who's
what a weird accent, by the way.
Yeah, what a weird... I have to say, she played that role extremely well, but I would not have seen her as a natural for it. But after the fact, she was fantastic, right? Yeah. So much confidence. She really oozes confidence in this show.
Unflappable, despite all the things that are going on around her and despite all the things people are saying to her face.
Yeah. I guess the way that it ends is very satisfying to me. It doesn't seem like there's going to be a season 2, though. Do you agree?
No. So it's a mini-series, I believe. And it's interesting that you found it satisfying. For me, this show was on the precipice of greatness. I thought 6 episodes in, I was in it. And then things took a dive for me.
Really?
Yeah.
What was it about the end? I mean, well, let's just say spoiler alerts because we can't have this conversation otherwise. But what was it about the end that wasn't satisfying to you?
I didn't like... It got complicated too quick over 2 episodes. There was a lot of mystery in the first 3 or 4 episodes. And then kind of the curtain gets unveiled and dropped. And then all of a sudden, a lot of weirdness starts happening around it. The drug thing, not a big fan of it. And the Regina King reveal, I didn't like it. I didn't think it was anything special. The quote unquote big twist, even though I didn't see it coming, I didn't like it. I didn't think it was a wow factor for me.
Yeah, I have to say, Carmel, right, who's a crazy-eyed killer.
Yeah.
I didn't really get a lot out of that reveal either. And I have to say, she was absolutely my least favorite character.
100%.
And maybe if there's a criticism of this show, it's that it really plays on some stereotypes. And maybe that's not wrong. But Melissa McCarthy plays kind of the successful fat lady who's, been misled in a relationship, right? Carmel plays the jilted, wife whose husband cheated on her and now she's got like terrible anger issues, right? Tony plays the ex-football star, who's so sad that he hurt his knee that he just, takes a life of, pills and drink. So I felt like it was a little bit like stereotypical in terms of, everyone's role. But overall, I really liked that. I think it was made by Nicole Kidman and her just unwavering ability to kind of like continue to push people to like address their trauma head on. And again, I thought this could have been like super creepy. You're dealing with really serious issues here that a lot of people in real life who are watching this, may have. And they didn't sugarcoat it, but they also didn't kind of like cartoonize it. I thought they dealt with it with the right level of kind of seriousness that it deserved.
Yeah.
And the result was correct. Like, look, some of these issues you just need to address and you need to push through and you need to, get some closure on. And that's not easy. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. And it's probably not just going to be sitting in a therapist office and talking about it. I think the message I took from Nicole Kidman's character was like, look, this was a really traumatic event. The only way you're going to get over it is to do something a little bit unusual and aggressive. Else it's just not going to, you're not going to get the closure that you need.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I agree. There's the suspense element wasn't really there. It teased
even though
it
they
like
tried, right? That the somebody was
teased.
leaving bloody messages on her wall.
Yeah.
She's getting text messages
Yeah.
from a stranger. All that, like, it had greatness written all over it, and then it just the reveals all fell a little flat. And because of that, I was just like, eh. So the mystery element, I wasn't a big fan of that. The reveal I didn't think it was anything good.
I got pretty emotional at the end, I have to say.
Yeah, I gotta say, look, the ending, you're absolutely right. They treated
the Marconis. I got pretty emotional about the Marconis.
Yeah. So that was, I think, very well done. And if they didn't have that element of, the mystery element, I think this would have been, for me, a must subscribe. But the mystery element fell so flat, and then combined with this drug tripping acid trip towards the end where I was just like, okay, it was getting a little loopy, a little, whatever. I was kind of like, I was getting detached from it.
I agree with the flaws that you pointed out. I mean, it's not a perfect miniseries.
I think we're both on the precipice, which is to say that, you happen to fall on the must subscribe side of the wall, and I happen to fall on the mooch side of the wall. That line is really fine. I think it also comes down to the state of mind we both were in on that given day. Maybe I had a bad day. Maybe I was, hungry. Maybe I was hangry. Whatever it was, but it just, that's how fine the line is in the sense that had the circumstances for me been any different, this could have very easily been a must subscribe. That's immediately why I sent you that message and said, you have to watch this.
There's two things that I want to point out that I think are important, though, to consider for this show. The first is that this is a little bit unique. There's so many other shows that are, superhero based or kind of like action revenge based or love story based. This was something, it's not like you've never contemplated these topics before, but it's a little bit different. And I think also in only 8 episodes, we actually got to know 11 or 12 people really well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's the 9 guests. There's Nicole Kidman as the owner, and she's got a staff, assistants. And she's got 3 actually, right? There's also the Glory, right? Who you don't see as much, right? Yeah. So we get to know like 12, 13 people reasonably well after 8 episodes, and I thought that's something that's really nice. I didn't get a lot of fatigue by seeing the same person or the same 2 people on screen every episode and asking them to carry the whole series. Nicole carries it, but I mean, as you said, Melissa McCarthy, I thought was amazing. Great role for her. Michael Shannon, always good. Luke Evans, good, right? Asher Ketty, Samara Weaving. I love Melvin Gregg. I saw Melvin Gregg in Snow. He's amazing, right? I remember him from this. So I thought that overall it was a great cast. They did a great job. Even though I say it's a must subscribe, I'm not like gonna beat the drum for like a second season. I think it ended, and I'm happy with how it ended. I think it should just end here.
Yeah, I fully agree.
That is 9, N-I-N-E, not the number. Perfect Strangers.
On Hulu.
On Hulu. And Hulu is big this week because we've also got The Bear.
That's right. So this came to my attention from you. It was on my streamer skip list.
Yes.
But you saw a trailer for it. I saw a trailer for it. And we both decided that, you know what, let's skip the streamer skip random number selection.
Let's go for
it. Exactly.
You know, I can't remember what I was reading, but I was reading an article totally unrelated to entertainment. And it just had like some comment about it. And it referred to Hulu's Diamond in the Rough of the Bear. And I'm like, oh, you know, I've seen that cover art before on Hulu. Mm-hmm. It never, and this is again, two things. Please, I don't understand why showrunners don't do this. The title and the cover art are so important. I'm not even telling people things that are not known, right? This isn't like amazing advice. It's just a fact. The name The Bear, do you know what it means now? I still don't know what the word The Bear has to do with this show. Do you?
Yeah,
it's Bear. It's Bear, B-E-A-R, not, what is it?
Yeah, but I mean, it's his nickname, right? It's because the name is the Berzados.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that.
Carmen Berzado, his brother who owned the restaurant, was Michael Berzado. So he's like, when he's calling it The Bear, he's naming it after himself.
Oh, I had no idea. No idea. Okay, so thank you for clearing that up, Pete, as always.
My pleasure.
But I saw the cover art, and I thought the cover art was not compelling.
Super generic. It's just the staff of the restaurant, the cast of the restaurant, basically, with like what looks like clip art that you and I could possibly make in MS Paint in there. Yeah, nothing special. Really, you would need to watch the trailer to determine if you were interested or not.
Yeah. So I saw the cover art countless times. It never even occurred to me to even like click on it to see the description. But let me give our listeners a short and sweet summary. So this follows a family from Chicago. As Pete described, they are of Italian heritage. No surprise. Carmen, also nicknamed Carmi, his brother commits suicide. So Carmi leaves his position as a chef, not the lead chef, but like a sous chef at the world's best restaurant, which is called French Laundry. And he returns to Chicago and takes over his brother's and his family's Italian beef restaurant. So he's reunited with his cousin, who also was helping to manage the restaurant, and his sister. From that description, which I made up, I'm not taking it from Hulu, but that description, I feel like I'm describing a comedy. That the guy from the fancy New York restaurant comes to Chicago Italian beef and hilarity ensues because, you know, I feel like that's a comedy description, but it's not. It's a hardcore, gritty drama and a drama for foodies. Do you agree?
Exactly. 100%.
I thought it was, you know, it's not like this like Parks and Recreation comedy where this guy comes and he's used to everything being polished and perfect. And, you know, then he's in this, you know, little Chicago kitchen and everything's like so strange and weird to him. It's not this at all. It's a gritty drama.
And it's what I loved about this, and what you, I think, are alluding to, is that it is a pure drama. It is not a drama. It's not a dramedy. It's not. There's no elements of comedy.
No action.
There's no element. It's not action based. There's no legal suspense. There's no suspense that way. Mm-mm. It is a pure drama about brother, his cousin, his staff at a small local eatery and the struggles that they're having. So there's no overarching plot. There's no, reveal. There's no nothing. And that's really rare. It's rare to see these like one-off series. Like if they don't do a Bear season 2, you're absolutely fine with it because the way it ends is quite good.
Oh, I haven't seen how it ended yet.
I'm not going to reveal anything, but it's tied up nicely in the sense that, you're not worried or you're not stressed that it's, like the typical thing about these, about the long running dramas is, we joke about it with movies is how do you make a sequel and things like that. They don't drag anything out, which is nice. So it's a pure drama. And and nothing makes you feel like there's a greater story at play, which is, again, a very compressed way of looking at it.
I also have to say, I think part of the attraction for me, at least, is that I don't know if I would say I'm a foodie, but I'm definitely leaning towards that where I appreciate food dramas or food shows or cooking shows more than I dislike them. And this is an interesting show, I think, because it's not like this high end. Remember that Bradley Cooper movie where he's, I think it's just called Chef, right?
No, that's the Jean Favreau one. No, that one isn't called Chef. That is called...
That movie with Bradley Cooper shows him in a high end restaurant with like very spectacular, Instagrammable, plateable type images of the food that they're preparing, right?
Super clinical. It's like a hospital in there.
Yes.
It's like, it's almost like a clean room when they're cooking.
And it's more about like the instructions, like, stir that sauce or watch that souffle or get this thing ready. And is this clove, facing the right direction, or are all these sauces, like consistent?
We get hints of that when you see the flashbacks to his work in the French kitchen.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. But here it's a little bit more gritty, which is like, okay, what are we going to do about these like potatoes, or how do we make this base? What are you going to do with this? It's burnt.
Yeah.
That's with Bradley Cooper, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. And I find that just so compelling because that's kind of how your food is made more often than not when you're getting something quick from like a localized non-chain restaurant, right?
Or like a food truck almost.
Yeah. You see the challenges that they have, and you see the passion that they have. But for me, I really kind of enjoy like the foodie elements just because it is so gritty, both in terms of like the ordering, the preparation, I have to say that's part of the reason that I'm so into the show. And for me, it's a great diamond in the rough that we found.
I am with you 100% because I love food shows based around food. Oh. I'm not a huge fan of like cooking shows or like British Bake Off style, like competitions. I am a fan of movies like Chef, like Burnt, or, like these, or like, for example, now The Bear. Food it's an important element of what they're trying to show, or maybe around what the show revolves. And I love it because they, like when the guy who's the pastry chef, you see him blossom into being like a guy who
so
just
passionate
cooks bread
about it. Yes.
The guy who just goes from making the bread for the sandwiches into basically being a pastry chef, right? What's his name? Marcus. Yeah. So you get to see a lot of that. I loved it. I thought it was really good. And you get to see them actually make the food. You get to see all of that. And then more importantly, you see the business side of it where they're calculating the costs. They're figuring out what's working, why this is working, why this isn't working. I don't want to spoil the ending because the ending has a lot more of it. And I think you're going to love it.
I can't wait to see it. Yeah, but I have nothing but good things to say about Chef or say about The Bear. I'm so happy that we found it on Hulu. And I have to say, this is also commentary on Hulu. Hulu has consistently 9 Perfect Strangers, The Bear. Time after time, Hulu is putting out, I think, like really good content. And we don't have to search that hard on Hulu. Netflix, I feel like, is the opposite, where I'm like constantly searching and scrolling and trying to find something like.
I think it's kind of making a name for itself as almost like a niche player of here's a mini series. Disney's going to ignore it because they are looking for more franchisee style things. Netflix is going to ignore it because it's maybe too cheap for them to make, and they're looking for ways to make a splash compared to Amazon. HBO Max is not interested because they also want to make something that's not one series long. They want to make 5-6 seasons of it. So Hulu is kind of like the place where you kind of go and say, hey, look, if you have a good idea for a one, maybe at most 2 series run of a good drama, we're interested. They're aligned, I think, like that with Apple TV. Yeah.
I don't know anything about the production cost, but it's true. Like
it's got to be cheap. It's got to be cheap as chips, right?
It's basically kind of like a dirty little Chicago kitchen, right? There's some scenes outside, but generally there's no action sequences. There's no stunts. There's, not much more than this, So I think Hulu has a very good model in terms of identifying cost-effective, but like compelling, as you said, series dramas.
Yeah. For me, no questions asked. It is a must subscribe to Hulu. I think this is wonderful. I think that if you are in the mood for a TV series which is low-key, it's easy to follow, it's not so engaging that you have to watch everything in one go, but it is engaging that you want to see where the show ends, I think you're going to really enjoy it.
But in any case, I give The Bear a must subscribe. I think, can I say you do as well?
Oh, 100%. It's definitely a must subscribe. It's one of the... This is also, again, one of the rare hits that we've had on Stream or Skip.
What do you have for next week? What do I have for next week?
So for next week, you will be watching Amazon Prime's The Terminal List. Controversial series.
Really?
It's the series with Chris Pratt. And it made waves because, it wasn't really... I don't want to say it was reviewed poorly or not. It made waves because... the show was politicized by the left and the right in the U.S. So I'm interested to see what your take on it is. Yeah. I have not seen it at all. I've heard of it, but I really want to see your take on it. And I want to see whether the right or the left are just politicizing something that's a non-event, which it could be.
Okay.
And I will be watching the first animated show.
What is that?
I think it's an animated show, Full Metal Alchemist, which off the top of my head, don't hold me to this, I believe it's a Japanese anime. Or at least, if not, it's the live action version of a Japanese anime.
Oh man, I chose that for you. I'm so sorry. Maybe I didn't.
No, that's okay.
Maybe I did that by accident.
I'll be intrigued to see it. Let's put it that way.
I mean, we've still, on our list, we each chose 30 plus for each other.
Yeah.
And we're kind of like halfway done with those, right?
Yeah, about halfway through. That's right.
I'm really excited. Amazon Prime, The Terminal List. Can't wait to see what it's about. I do love Chris Pratt, Star-Lord. You've got Netflix.
So, recap, Hard Sell is a hard skip.
Please skip it.
9 Perfect Strangers is a mooch from me, but it's a must-subscribe from
Please
Ethan.
watch it. Please watch it.
The Bear is a very rare must-subscribe from the both of us.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Is that the only... We had Night Sky.
Night Sky.
The Old Man. Oh, only 3. 1 of 3. In any case, next week, Full Metal Alchemist for Pete. The Terminal List for me.
All right. Thanks, everyone. If you've got any recommendations for us, send us a message. aloha@filmsandstuffpodcast.com. Leave a comment on our YouTube video or tweet at us at F&S Podcast.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Pete.
Thanks, Ethan. Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.